Ladies and gentlemen, Royal fans everywhere, welcome. It's great to see you all here. This is a very special day that we can recognize somebody that's made a great contribution to Roy High School. And you're going to hear a lot of great things. We've got a lot of familiar faces. In fact, real quick, I don't know if we can bring the house lights up real quick. Everybody that played for Coach Thompson, wave, stand up. Let's look at all these. Look at all these. And for everyone that is here, there's probably 100 that couldn't make it, that he has influenced. What a great guy, what a great contribution to sports and to Roy High. He's a 3-sport coach. I mean, from fall to winter to spring, he did it all. And I don't know, Coach, you couldn't like do something for wrestling or a track or debate team probably needed some help. I don't know, but he during the school year, in fact, Helen had to keep a picture of him right by the front door so that she wouldn't call the cops when he entered, recognizing. But what a great contribution, all the lives that he has touched and all the things that he has done from the coaching standpoint. Not just coaching and improving skills, improving the game, but improving those players, teaching them how to work as a team, teaching them the importance of teamwork, of individual contribution to the team, of dedication and preparation, and all of those things that not only contributed to the game that they were playing, the sport that they were playing, but things that would help them throughout their lives. And I'm sure we could have everybody here that stood up would testify to the things that they learned, and we'll hear from some of them, things that they learned while he coached that are still with them and benefit them every day. So, again, thank you and welcome. Great day. Representing the Roy High administration, we have Assistant Principal Jake Schultz and the Athletic Director for Roy High, Mike Pusey. Give them a hand. Just a note too, Mike wore his very best shorts. Just for the coach. So just so you know, the dress code still applies. Before we hear from some tributes to Coach Thompson, we're going to have the senior class president here for Roy High School favor us with the school hymn. Please welcome Grace Hoskins.
If any of you guys would like to sing, you can. Feel free. We will sing our song to thee tonight. We will raise our sound of praise. We will take our pledge of brotherhood
We're first going to hear from Mike Pusey, right? Oh, Jake Schultz first, the official welcome of the school. So mine didn't count, so his is the real welcome. And then Mike Pusey will address us.
Sophomore year, Coach Thompson made us all learn that. How many learned that because of Coach Thompson, that song? I learned that as a sophomore football player. We had to stand up on a bus or in the weight room and sing that after every game, and I still have it memorized. So just so you know, you helped me out with that, Coach. My name is Jake Schultz. I played for Coach from 1989 to 1991. I'm the current one of the assistant principals here at the school, and I want to officially welcome the Thompson family and Coach and Helen and their family and friends and teammates and Royals. It's just an exciting time. What a great night we're going to have tonight to sit here and spend some time reminiscing and talking and creating memories, or remembering and creating new memories. I just want to welcome you all on behalf of the administration, and we hope you enjoy your time. We hope you are feeling at home and feeling some great feelings here tonight. So welcome and enjoy your night.
All right, when you're 6'10", it's hard to find dress pants with a 40-inch inseam, so I wore the best dress shorts that I have. It's also, when you're 6'10", all microphones are like shower heads to me. They hit me right in the stomach. So I'll make sure I put this back. What a night. What a great celebration. Looking out upon you, I'll admit, I get a little misty-eyed as I look out upon so many Royals from the past. I'm so grateful. Our baseball team, they're in the very back there. Let me hear you, baseball team. Our current baseball team here, I'm so excited for them to be able to celebrate this, where we officially, it's been a long time coming, when we get officially, name our baseball field. And I'm excited for it when Mon announces our home game. Instead of Royal Baseball Field, it's officially the Coach Fred Thompson Field. Let's hear it for him. His 50 years and plus in Weber School District, and his close to 50 years, he and Helen resided in Roy. They are part of our Royal family. And it's so great seeing so many former players, from multiple schools, here in support of culture, and thank you for being here tonight. I also want to give I know it's a very special, in Coach's Heart is, our Officials Association. I've seen so many officials come from many miles to be here. Thank you for doing that. Tonight is for you, Coach, Helen, your amazing Thompson Tough family. We love you guys, always and forever. I went yesterday to give the matching hoodies. Don't they look great in their Roy High hoodies? To Coulter and to Helen, and they have a map right when you come in their front door, and it says, "Come as you are." And I can think of no two people than Coach and Helen that they just accept you no matter whatever walks of life, no matter where you're from, you come as you are. As a young AD, stepping into a role here that's, at Roy High, I noticed through all those years, with Coach, that, as we talk about, and I know that we're all tough and we want to do X's and O's, all this stuff, but what I've learned as I've gotten older, and I know that he's learned and definitely has passed on advice to me, is that it's about your relationships that you build. It's about the relationships more so than any wins and losses. Do you make a difference in people's lives? And as I look on you tonight, and all those that I know too are, weren't able to come but have reached out, that is what it is, Coach. It's those relationships, and I thank you for that. He's given me so much advice when I come in. It's like I said, our most beloved place is our 7-Eleven right here on the corner. That's where I run into Coach most. is he's getting his newspaper and me my cherry Coke. And, you know, just the talks and stuff. I can't thank him enough. He came out last week. I was busy scrambling. It's spring sports, so we have a bunch of them going on, and I was scrambling and busy, and I hear a voice come over, "Hey, Ted Smith Jr." I don't know if I've got a better compliment in my life than that. And I'm so excited. I told their family this is when we went over to Eric's home. Jake Schultz and I did, you know, last year to let them know that the committee and district had approved the school board and that it's officially going to be the Fred Thompson Field. I told him then, I feel it again tonight, that I know somewhere Ted Smith is smiling for his good friend Fred Thompson this evening. Coacher, thank you for all you've done through all the years. You know I speak on behalf of all of Royal Nation and, you know, former players from, you know, all the schools that you've been at. You know, thank you. Thank you, Helen. Thank you to the Thompson Tough family. You know, once a Royal, always a Royal. You'll be in our Royal hearts forever. Coach Schultz, if I can have you come back up here. I'll show you this one. We've got for Coacher, on that side there. It's we went old school. Found this jersey. I found it in the dungeons deep down below the lower gym. If you've ever been in those walkways, some of you I know have because you broke in there when you were in high school and underneath those things. We called the catacombs, I think, back in high school. But we found it with that original old school Royal R. And Coacher, huge congratulations. On behalf of all of us here today, we love you, Coacher. Thank you.
Good job. Now, you probably noticed folks here on the dais, and we will hear from them. One that I wanted to point out especially that a very special member on here, and that is Coach's sweet wife, Helen. Let's give her a hand. Okay, we're going to hear from some former players now, and we're going to hear first from four of them. I'll introduce all of them, all four. So keep track. Who's on first? What's on second? I don't know who's on third. Two of them that we will hear from were shortstops, and if you remember the deal that they went through, finally they named what the shortstop was, and the shortstop name was I Don't Care. But we do care about shortstops. So first we're going to hear from Dr. Justin Mansfield. He was a shortstop, class of '89. So keep track of this order. Fred Fernandez, class of '79. He was a catcher. Jeff Jorgensen, he played first base, class of '84. And then Eric Gallegos, he was a shortstop, class of '83. Dr. Mansfield.
That makes me feel a lot better because I went home and told Alicia after I'd been asked to be here, and she looked at me and said, "Why you?" I said, "Well, I don't know. I guess they would want me to talk and see what I have to say." But I'm lucky enough and blessed enough to be able to know the Thompson family now for 36 years or longer when I was playing ball for Coach. And I appreciate Mont too because the first thing I wanted to do when I got up here was express my thoughts to the fact that it's one thing to be a baseball coach and take the oftentimes abuse that a coach will take because everybody's kid can't play shortstop and everybody's kid can't have this much playing time and everybody's kid can't be the starting quarterback. And so they take a lot of abuse, but those coaches can take it because they live in it. But the ones who really have to live with it is when they come home. And I'm blessed enough to know Helen Thompson and have for several years. And I would just like to ask you for another round of applause for Helen tonight. I'm lucky enough to be the physician that gets to see these folks every so often and check in on them and make sure that Fred's doing what Helen says and minding his P's and Q's and eating the proper diet. By the way, Mike, you need to stop going to 7-Eleven and sucking down Diet Cokes and Cherry Cokes. I'm really disappointed to hear that tonight, but I will make a note of it in your next visit, so we'll go from there. But you know what we have to do? Coaches have a lot of talents, and when you're a high school ball coach, you have to have a lot of talents. And I was reminded tonight of another talent that Coach Thompson has when I was talking to Mark Bingham. Mark, start making your way up here right now. Come here. Come on, get up. Mark was telling me about an experience he had with Coach Thompson that has nothing to do with baseball, but you're going to be resounded with this experience that Mark had. So here you go. I hope you're ready for it.
Thank you. Sorry, but I'm 5'6", and so I always have the same similar problems that Coach Busey has. But is that better? I have this problem also. All right. Well, Justin's my doctor and threatened me to tell either I come tell this story or he'll tell a story about my prostate. So quick. I'll be quick. Coach was my driver's ed teacher, and I'm sure he taught a lot of us in here how to drive. And it was myself and Danny McFarland and Danielle Green, and we took off. It was a chance to drive on the freeway. And we headed north, and Coach started snoring, fell asleep about Smith and Edwards. So we put the hammer down a little bit just to test and see how far we could get. And I think he kind of came to when it said, "Welcome to Idaho." So he said a few things, and then we got off in Malad, and he bought us each Diet Coke, Dr. Pepper, and a Snickers, told us never to tell this story again, and I was invited to sit in the back seat, and then we drove home. So that was good.
This month in 1989, the Roy High baseball team was involved in a playoff right out here on this field, soon to be renamed. And we were playing American Fork. Man, we hated those Utah County kids. I don't care, I'll just say it out loud. We just wanted to beat them so bad. And we got into the 6th inning, and we were down 2-0, and it wasn't looking good for the Royals. We thought we were done. And we started out with our 8th and 9th hitter, who I think one popped out and one struck out, and we were down to 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th. And Danny McFarland, rest his soul, good friend of mine, managed to get a walk and walked to first base. Of course, Danny was only this tall, and if he wouldn't swing, he'd get on base, and so we trusted in that. Our number 2 hitter was Mark Bingham, none other than, and he laced a single into left center. And all of a sudden, we had 2 guys on base, down 2-0, and guess who comes to the plate? Yeah, me. And I don't think I was batting my weight in my senior year. I might have been about 186. And I just kept hoping that I'd find something to get a hold of, and lo and behold, this big left-handed pitcher from American Fork throws a belt-high fastball just over the outside of the plate that I drove into right center. And I was so stunned that I'd even hit the ball, I stood in the box for a second, couldn't believe I'd hit it. And as I got out of the box, I knew Danny would score. Danny was a track star, right? He was gonna score easy. My only concern was Mark. Would he get around 3 bases enough to tie this game? As I'm running down to first, I could see out of the left side of my eye, Mark running like he was shot out of a cannon past second base, and he knew he was gonna score. There was nothing holding him up at all. And I, for as slow as I was compared to those 2, somehow managed to leg out a triple. And got to third base where Coach was standing. Now baseball, for those of you who've never either played or understand it, might think it's kind of boring. Or you might think that it's not all that fun to watch or whatever. But all those boys back there on those back rows know what I'm talking about. Baseball is poetry. Baseball is strategy. Baseball is a chess game played on a diamond-shaped field. And it is a beautiful, beautiful thing. One of the best things about it is that contrary to what society would teach you, is that stealing is a virtue in baseball. So Travis Wood was our number 4 hitter, and Travis was 6'5", and probably didn't have as good a batting average as even I did. And got a quick strike on him. And I looked at Coach Thompson, and Coach Thompson looked at me, and he had his arms just like this. I will never forget this ever, Coach. He was standing like this, with his hand up here like this, stroking the underside of his chin, and he looks at me, and he says, "Steal it." And I thought I was gonna die when he said that. Are you kidding me? Steal home? Now, all of that is well and good, as long as Travis can get the sign from Coach Thompson. And if any of you can remember this sign, it's clothing, skin, clothing. What's that sign? It's take. That is, Justin's gonna steal home. Don't swing and take his head off as he goes across the plate and try to win this ball game. So Coach gives the sign. Travis looks at it kind of sideways, and I'm thinking, oh, I really hope he understood that sign. I love Travis. I don't know if he's here, but I love him. And so that big left-handed pitcher from American Fork goes into this long, gangly windup. And, you know, I really think, you know, a 4-year-old could have stole home on this case. He took so long to get the ball to home. But I took off, scored. Travis did not swing, and we won that ball game. And I have never forgotten that sometimes a coach has to be brave and a coach has to trust. And that's been a lesson that I've had to learn in my life that has been a benefit to me. To trust those around you, to love those around you, and to hope that what they'll do is the right thing to do. And I've been able to learn that from the minute Coach and Helen walked in my office door and asked me to be their doctor. And from the day that Eric told me he was having a hard time raising his right arm. The crowd is gone, the cheers have stopped, and the equipment is stored away. The team is standing on the field because the coach is leaving today. He led them through the hardest times and was proud the times they won. But now the season's over and his time as coach is done. The team will go on without him. We'll perform at the usual pace. But through another coach that will come in, there'll still be a void in this place. Today, when the field is emptied and the team has met the test, the coach can feel certain that he will be remembered simply as the best. Thank you, Coach. I appreciate and love you very much. Thank you very much tonight.
Wow. That's pretty. Nice following you. I'm Coach Fernandez, or Fred Fernandez. I played for Coach Thompson 77 through 79. There's two type of people when you consider Coach Thompson. Those that love him and those that do not know him. Because if you know him, you love him. I got to know him close to 50 years ago when I was in a really tough place. I had just lost my mother. I was 15 years old running through these halls. And in the spring of 77, Fred took me and a whole bunch of you other guys. I've seen the Hanson brothers and Herzog and Bennington on a magical carpet ride in the 77 state tournament. And it went all spring and part of summer because there was so much rain. And you remember McMahon hitting that home run over the Budweiser sign at Dirks Field. And I fell in love with baseball then because it was just so magical. That was, like I said, 50 years ago. And Coach Thompson, thank you for teaching us the game of baseball, teaching us the rules, teaching us the etiquette, all the little things that go on. You hear about people that say, hey, there's a high school teacher that completely changes your life, and Fred Thompson is that person for me. He was my coach. He's the reason I got into coaching. He was almost like a father figure, and Helen a mother figure to me. When all the Brian, Eric, and Kalani, and Jen were just little teeny kids. And I remember how fun that was, and some of the advice that I've been given over the years from Coach Thompson with every job that I'd tried to get to. You've steered my life, you've steered my career, and you taught the game to a bunch of kids that would, as you like to say, run through the wall for you. I don't know if Joey Hill's here, but I know when we were coaching him, I've heard the story of throwing batting practice to him, and you said on the last hit, just hit it and run to second. Or I think you might have said straight to second. Anyways, Joey hit the ball and he came running right through the pitcher's man, right by Fred's shoulder, right to second base. So yeah, when you got guys that will run through the wall for you, that's you've made a difference in their lives. Coach, you've been a mentor to a lot of us coaches. And like I said, I've always called you, or you've called me and given me advice, and I know one of the best things was, hey, just hire coaches and let them coach. And I know that's worked for me and Monkers and Welk. So these are guys that were hired at the same time I was. And I appreciate you hiring me and getting me started in this because it was pretty controversial at the time. And you didn't care. And it's changed my life. And then also, Mike mentioned it, I've seen so many officials in here that you've touched their lives and our lives through officiating as well. Just what a great human being to positively touch so many lives. And I appreciate you and your wonderful family. And then to be able to coach with Eric for 6 or 7 years was absolutely special as well. Aside from Fred, Eric's got the best football mind in the history of the state, in my opinion. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. I don't want to take a whole lot of your time, but I love you. Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Jeff Jorgensen. I played for Coach Thompson from 1982 to 1984. It was a great time to be a Roy High Royal. We had 6 teams in our region. All of them were local, except for one. Felt like every game was a rivalry. We were competitive across the board, and we had an embarrassment of riches when it came to coaching talent. Coach Jacklin led the football team, Coach Smith led the basketball team, and Coach Thompson led the baseball team. You know, as a young student athlete, it is easy to take for granted the work that coaches and teachers and administrators do when they stay late or they come back to work so we can participate in the games that we love, the things that made high school a little more meaningful, a little bit more fun, and more memorable. Coach Thompson was no exception to that. You know, our season was really only 2 months in the spring. I would tell you the best 2 months of the year. But Coach Thompson's season started much sooner. You can find Coach Thompson after school in the balcony of the old gym, working with players, working on their tee work, doing soft toss. I'm pretty sure he threw batting practice in that cage until he couldn't tie his shoes. And then the season would start. And on a good day, we'd be outside. On a bad day, we'd practice inside. And sometimes practice looked more like a classroom. I can remember a couple of days where we had a stretch of bad weather where we were holed up in the classroom watching and discussing Charlie Lau's The Art of Hitting 300. Coach literally taught us how to play the game of baseball more correctly than we otherwise would. Anybody who's ever worked with young kids or taught kids how to play the game knows that sometimes the simplest tasks, things as simple as just getting everybody in the right spot at the right time on every pitch, is anything but simple. You know, the ball always seems to find the new player, the inexperienced player, or that small hole in the defense that really shouldn't be there. You know, Coach taught us where to be and when to be there. We knew what was expected and how to close those small holes in the defense. We didn't always execute well, but we knew what good was supposed to look like, thanks to Coach Thompson. When our season ended, his season did not. Apparently, coaching high school athletics has no off season, but who knew? You know, when I was in high school, he put 3 teams on the field in the summertime. We had an American Legion team, we had 2 prep teams, many of you probably participated. Had to be a logistical headache. Just finding somebody that was willing and able and capable just to coach those teams. People that could provide more kids the opportunity to get those extra at-bats, play in those extra games, and provide a meaningful experience to keep them from self-selecting out of the game of baseball. You know, Coach's work didn't stop when he left the Diamond. He was the type of coach, and more importantly, the type of person who valued the development of relationships that lasted far beyond our high school years. One could argue we're all here tonight for that exact same reason. You know, I am a beneficiary of that type of relationship. I always look forward to seeing Coach, whether we're at a high school ball game, someplace in town. Matter of fact, about a year ago, a little over a year ago, my wife and I were in Phoenix visiting our daughter. And because she was clearly raised right, she made arrangements to take her mom and I to a baseball game. And one evening we went to see USC and USC and BYU play. We get to the park, we buy our tickets, we make our way in, find someplace to sit. I look back and there's Coach Thompson walking in the ballpark, accompanied by Coach Hawkins from Layton High, Coach Gardner, who was at Bonneville High when I started high school. You know, 50% of Regional One's brain trust still at the ballpark, still enjoying the game they love. That evening, we had a chance to catch up just a little bit. And, you know, it had been 40 years since I took the field at Roy High. But we had a chance to talk about specific games, plays, players that he coached and that I played with. It was a really nice evening. I can tell you our memories clearly aren't as good as they ought to be, but with the passage of time, I do think our stats got just a little bit better. Those are the kind of relationships that I would tell you have high value.
Hana, hana.
So, hana. So at any rate, I would tell you this. He and I had a chance to chat earlier this week, and he told me that he started coaching at Roy High as an assistant in 1974. If you stop to consider the years as an assistant at Roy, the years as a head coach at Roy, the years coaching baseball at Fremont, and then the time he spent as the football coach, it's astounding how many young men he had a chance to coach and influence over those years. Coach, I know I don't speak for all of them, but I would say thank you. This is a great honor and a great accomplishment, probably way too long in coming. But Coach, it is an honor to be on your team.
I'm Eric Gallegos. I played for Coach from 1981 through 83. I'm honored to be here to speak on this great day as we celebrate Coach Fred Thompson, AKA Coach T. Having known Coach for over 40 years, he's been more than just a coach to me. He's been a mentor and a guiding light. He coached me in baseball and football here at Roy High. And during that time, I witnessed firsthand the immense respect he afforded every player. His dedication to teaching the sports he loved and instilling that love in all of us players was evident. Coach T was a beacon of trust, faith, positivity, and support. In challenging times, he kept his cool and radiated enthusiasm and optimism. Whenever we needed guidance, it was delivered with the utmost respect, making each of us feel valued and important. He never allowed a player to feel insignificant. Instead, we all understood our vital roles within the team's objectives. I recall a time that faith and trust was put to a test. Like the time you put a sophomore in to run for a senior in the state playoffs. That sophomore blew through your stop sign at third. Although the sophomore did score, Coach T had some resounding words for him. He walked up to him, placed his hands on his shoulders, and said, "It's a dang good thing you scored, young Eric." Coach Thompson was not just any coach in my life. At one point in my senior year, during a lunch period, I sat down with him and Coach Ted Smith. I asked him, "What do I need to do to be like you, a teacher and a coach?" They both said almost simultaneously, "Why would you want to do that?" I said, "Well, why not?" And they said, "Well, both because you'll be broke and you'll never see your family." Playing for Coach T was undeniably the highlight of my high school years. He was fostered a culture of teamwork and collaboration, emphasizing values like sportsmanship, discipline, and respect for others. This culture and a love for the game fostered by Coach T turned our team into family. I know many of those that played for him can truly believe in that. Imagine working with a group of high school boys every day, each full of confidence, ambition, and a strong belief in their own abilities. We all had our egos, convinced we were the best and destined for success. Yes, it was Coach T who had the remarkable ability to wrangle those egos and attitudes. With his guidance, we fostered an environment where everyone was not focused on their individual achievements, but learned to work together and play as a team, genuinely supporting one another. Coach taught us that the strength of the team is greater than any one player's talent. You win as a team and you lose as a team. Looking back, I see how Coach's lessons transcended the field. He didn't just learn to play a game. We learned the value of collaboration, respect, and humility. We learned about the games within the game. Those lessons continue to shape not just our approach to sports, but our lives beyond the game. As I reflect on my journey, I can't help but recognize the profound influence you've had on my life and my development. Your passion for the game was contagious, and your dedication to each player instilled in me a love for the sports that I carry to this day. Coach, I borrowed something from you which you may or may not know about. It was your Hana Hana. You can ask any of the players I coached over the years, especially my sons, they've all heard it. I often find myself mimicking the phrases you used, remembering how your words inspired us to push ourselves beyond our limits. It has become an integral part of my coaching style. I got my start in coaching thanks to the Thompsons. It started one day when, out of the blue, Mrs. Helen Thompson, aka Mrs. Coach T, showed up on my doorstep. I thought, well, she must be here to talk to my folks. So I told her, "Oh, I'm sorry, my folks aren't home." And she said, "Well, that's all right. I'm not here to speak to them, I'm here to speak to you." And so Mrs. Coach T asked if I would be willing to coach Eric's baseball team. I just finished up my first season at Snow. I did, and it was the great experience for me. I believe the boys learned as much from me as I learned from them. I used a lot of what Coach T taught and showed with my first team. I have made it a priority to pass along the lessons just as you did for us. I'm proud to say that my 3 boys grew up understanding and embracing the lessons you taught. Thanks to your influence, they are better individuals today. Coach, I see the profound impact of your spirit and influence, not just felt within our teams, but radiating throughout the community. Your legacy continues to strive in so many lives today. This was always your baseball field. You took a lot of pride in it and spent many, many hours taking care of it to make it look good. And now, deservingly, you get your name added to it. Thank you for asking me to be here today. Thank you for believing in me, for your unwavering support, for sharing your knowledge with me and so many. Your impact on my life extends far beyond the field, and I am deeply grateful to have had you as a coach, to know you as a person, and call you my friend. I love you, Coach. Hana.
Some great tributes to a great coach. We recognized his most important partner. I also failed to mention a couple others in the family, Jenny and Kalani here, rounding out the fearsome foursome. Let's give them a hand as well. They probably needed a picture of Dad too, handy, so that they could recognize him. And these gentlemen had obviously, and all of you, great connection. And the connections go from you to your children, your athletes that you coach. Just look at the influence that has. And believe it or not, I have a connection to Coach Thompson. It's real thin, but I am an adopted Royal, okay, for life, okay, so let's get that straight. But I graduated from Layton High, and Coach Thompson was a basketball coach in '75, right? And I played my last basketball game for Layton High in the lower gym here at Roy High. So got a little connection there. So part of the family. We're proud of it. All right. A couple other people we want to hear from, very special men that he got to coach. He called them boys, but I'm sure they grew into men. And so we'll hear from Brian Thompson. He played first base, class of '95. We're not going to mention that he went to Fremont. But he started at Roy, so that's all we're going to say. And then we're going to hear from Eric Thompson. He played first base as well, class of 1990. Brian.
Thank you all for being here tonight and for your love and support and just the commons area and what we see out here in the auditorium. We feel your love and we feel your care and concern. If you played for my dad, that means at Roy you played between 30 and 50 years ago here. And you filled the commons, and now you're here. We love you, we appreciate you, and kind of a slice of heaven just to feel what it felt like to see you show up for my dad and love him. And I either know you personally or have heard wonderful stories about you. Thank you for these tributes. Wonderful people that we've heard from tonight. I had the opportunity to, when you submitted your memory, it came to me and I got to read it. And often Tuesdays with Brother, we'd be at Eric's house with our family and I'd say, oh, Dad, another one came in, and we'd read it. And just very touching, very, very tender. I'm going to read a couple of those tonight from the memories that you submitted with your SVP. Coach always made you feel better, more capable and more hopeful. Coach loved his players, and we all knew it. He had the ability to see beyond the surface of the person and find their best qualities and help bring that out. He helped me more than he will ever know. He is the best coach I've ever been associated with at any level. He is the best of the best. He looks beyond talent and sees what one has in their heart. He's a gentle giant. His heart is as big as his voice. He enjoyed winning, but always found a life lesson in any loss. He's a second father to me. He has helped me in more ways than I can count. I admire his larger-than-life presence and how he cares for his players. I always enjoyed walking on the diamond when Fred was coaching, knowing that I was being respected as an umpire. Fred also seemed to know how to lighten up the situation with his team or with what was going on the field. I always loved when we'd win a game and the smile he'd have on his face, especially when it was against Weber. Also, when we'd put his arm around you and tell you something funny to lighten the mood. I loved playing for Coach. I chose my profession because of Coach. I patterned my coaching and teaching styles after his. I'll always remember how you knew how to calm me down when my emotions got the best of me, which was way too often. I've always admired how you knew exactly what to say and how to motivate each player uniquely to perform at our best. He was a mentor, a guide, and for so many of us, a steady hand when we needed it most. He brought laughter, wisdom, and genuine belief in the potential of everyone. He had a way of making learning feel personal and empowering. There are dozens more memories that we will cherish forever. The highlight of my life is growing up going to Roy High baseball games. I don't know that we ever missed a game. And we'd get out of school, even sometimes we'd get out of school a little early so we could catch the bus with the team. Eric and I would hop on the bus and we'd go back and talk to the players, and it was like having 12 older brothers. And they just loved us. We'd sit in the dugout, and they were kind to us and just the best mentors to us as we would learn from them and have fun with them on the very best days at these games. We'd get to go sit by my grandpa, Harold Thompson, who had a nice cold root beer for you and a smile, and he was my dad's most vocal supporter, and he was almost at every game. And I know that Harold and Elda Thompson are looking down today and happy for their son. The highlight of my high school was being able to play for my dad. What a wonderful coach, and what an adaptive coach. His first son, Eric, was so obedient and so compliant and did everything that was asked. And then I came along, and it wasn't quite that way. But my dad was super adaptive and loving, and knew how to coach me, knew how to motivate me, knew how to connect with me. He knew how to, on the team, to help us create a sense of belonging and the joy of competing. Not just winning, and it's fun to win, but the joy of competing and putting your best out there, irrespective of the outcome. He taught us that, and I cherish that and love that teaching from my dad. And we won a lot of games. My last year here and his last year, we won the region championship in baseball. But it was far more important that we felt connected, we felt united, and we were helping each other. We had a lot of fun. Our practices were a lot of fun, and we knew my dad loved us. My dad's confidence is contagious. It was said, and it's been said tonight in several of the memories, it had a larger-than-life personality, and that is true. He can walk into a room and just influence the room, and has his large stature and his deep voice, and he's really a gentle giant, calm, and he can raise your confidence and just build you up and help you believe in yourself. He doesn't say a lot, but when he does say something, you listen. I have a friend brought to my attention my memory of when I was a junior, we played Clearfield here at home, and the Clearfield runner tried to run over our catcher, and our catcher kind of hit back at him, and it was kind of a bang-bang play that got both benches running out to we thought we were going to run out and have a nice fight here right at home plate. And my dad, probably not even moving from the bucket that he sat on, says, "Sit down." We stopped. We went back in. We sat down. My dad stopped a bench clearing brawl with 2 words, "sitting on a bucket." One thing I've grown to appreciate is that my dad never favored his sons. As a high school kid, I sure wish he would have and wanted that. But as I've grown older, it's one of the things I'm most grateful for. He never gave us a special privilege. In fact, he made us earn it. In some ways more than we thought we should have to do. I think back to when I was a senior, and he would go through and he'd hit ground balls to the infield, and I played first base. He'd get to first base, and the sophomore would step out. He'd hit just a little dinky ground ball down to him. And then a slow dribbler to the junior, he'd step out. And then I'd step out, and he would rip the hardest ball he could hit. It would bounce off my chest or whiz past me, and I'd say, "Why don't you try hitting it a little harder?" And he would. And when I would backtalk my dad a little bit, or have something to say, everyone on the team would be dead silent except Jake Bryan, who would be laughing from left field and thought it was just the greatest thing in the world. Also, as a senior, we went up to Weber to play, and they had a pitcher who's thrown a great curveball. And I don't know that I ever hit a curveball in my life. And I struck out twice. And my dad benched me for my last 2 at-bats. And I think he did the same thing to Olin Hannum, if I'm remembering right, the same game. So Olin and I sat and sort of sulked together, and we're upset about it. And I didn't talk to my dad for 3 days after. And then when I did talk to him, he said, "Well, did you want to strike out 4 times?" My dad has a great gift to keep it real and to connect with you. A few weeks later, we played Weber, now at home. And it's a home game where we got guys, I think it's the first inning, we got guys on first and second, and I'm up. And my dad wants to move the runners around. So he gives me the bunt sign. And now we finally got a pitcher who's throwing hard, and I'm thinking, I do not want to bunt. And so I acted like I didn't see the sign. And I swung away, and I hit it out of the park for a 3-run home run. And I'm rounding second, and Eric is walking into the field, and I'm waving, and life is good. And I start to get to third, where my dad's coaching third, and I see his eyes, and I know I've got trouble. So I kind of just run by him quietly and go in. Tried to get out of the dugout before he got back in, but he got in pretty quick. He comes in, he grabs me, he pulls me in close, and he says, "Bryant Skeen, and if I get your middle name in there, it's trouble." Bryant Skeen, you're a lucky, lucky boy. I was also a relief pitcher as a senior, and I could throw some junk pitches. I even had a sidearm curveball that I could throw, and it would get me through a couple innings, but I couldn't last very long. I'd either have a hard time throwing strikes, or I'd decide that I didn't like a kid and I'd just beat him. And so after 2 or 3 innings, my dad would have to come out and get me. And he'd come out and he'd say, "Nice game, son," and he'd put his hand out. And I'd say, "I'm good. I'm going to keep going." I never ever wanted to go out. And he just smiled and didn't say one word, and just held his hand right there. And I knew that if I didn't put that ball in his hand and run off the field with good body language, I was done pitching for him. I'm going to conclude by telling a final story that's going to take us a little bit out of baseball and into personal help. I talked about how he came and got me out of trouble as a pitcher. In my young life, he got me out of trouble in life a lot, and rescued me from trouble I got myself into. As a high school kid, I would go looking for trouble. On the weekends with friends, we'd go doing things that we shouldn't be doing. One night I thought I was really clever and snuck out. It was late, and go to my friend's house. We're up to no good at all. And about 10 minutes after I got there, my dad knocks on the door. And says, "Come home." And at the time, I was furious and had quite a bit to say about it. But it wasn't an invitation to come home. It was a directive. And so I did. We got home, and I had some words with him, and he just listened. He just listened. And then the next morning, we sat down and talked about it. And if you've ever been in trouble with my dad or done things that you wish you didn't do, he is so patient and loving and compassionate. He has such a gift to challenge you and to be real about your circumstances and your behavior, and then to put his arm around you and love you without judgment, with empathy. It's a gift that transformed my life. And he had to come get me more than once. And I wouldn't be here today, and my life would be a lot different had he not come to get me. That's my dad. Shane DeFoy will tell you a story. He's a sophomore at Roy High School, and he broke his jaw as a sophomore. He wakes up in the hospital room, my dad's in there, reading a newspaper, drinking a Coke, sitting in his coach's shorts with his socks pulled up to his knees, reassuring Shane that everything's going to be okay. I want to conclude by talking about my precious mother for just a second. My mother is an amazing angel and is the perfect complement to a coach. She's gritty, she's tough, she's there, she shows up, and she's the most resilient person I know. When they had a tough loss, she's there to hug him and love him and be his most loyal supporter. When they have a great win, they would greet each other with the famous, "You never know." He would say it, and then she would say, "You never know." Meaning, you never know when a thrilling win is just around the corner. And from that, I've taken a lesson in life, that we can learn to savor the good moments of life. really savor them, really lean into them, because tough moments are around the corner. And when tough moments come, we keep our family close, and all of you in this room we consider family. We love each other unconditionally. And my mom and dad have exemplified that all my life. Mom and Dad, I love you. Congratulations.
All right. Well, first of all, I'm gonna win some money. My son Kel says under 30 seconds before I start to cry. So I'm gonna try to beat that. You're also lucky. Normally I just go no notes, and I go over my time usually, always. But with it being really difficult to speak, I'm timed up. What I'm going to say, so you can understand what Brian said first of all. Well, amen to that. And thanks to my mom. For letting my dad coach and supporting him. What a great job that we had growing up at the ballpark. I got with that closer. One thing that made my dad coach me, a great coach. And is love. Noah loves baseball more than my dad, but I can't figure out why he loves it so much. But he sure does. He played as long as he could, finishing up at Weaver State, staying on for as an assistant, then 2 years at THL, and 34 years coaching high school baseball at Roy and Fremont, during which he was still playing Farm Bureau baseball and numerous years playing fast pitch softball. Me and my family, we grew up at the ballpark. What a great childhood. Doing that, coaching 2 other sports, refereeing. On top of that, my dad was at every one of my Little League baseball games. Summer league, college baseball, basketball, softball. I don't think he ever missed one of my city league softball games. I've got 3 boys. He's been to every one of their games of every sport. And after, they always get that famous smile and a stipend that somehow me and Brian never got when we were getting. I'll tell you this right now, he is very hard on his own son when he coaches. And somehow he's the exact opposite with his grandkids. In fact, I remember my senior year, I was the shortstop of my year. And I got told the day of tryouts how great first base was. And I would be playing there that year because Trent Mansfield's little brother was coming up as a sophomore, and he was better than me. So he definitely wasn't afraid to have those hard conversations, and somehow tricked me into thinking first base was better than shortstop, which actually I really did learn to enjoy, because when anyone would get on base I didn't like, I would call for a pickoff and slap the shit out of their helmet with it. Anyone that's played first before knows that great trick. Not only with my kids, every grandkid. He's been to every one of their games. Goes to college baseball games with his lifelong friends. Oh, I'm there. And this is famous. If there's ever a new high school that comes up in Utah, he calls me up, we drive to that high school and look at the baseball field for 20 minutes and then go home. And anytime we're out of the state, we do the same thing. He just loves to look at the field. I legitimately think he's been to more games than any man alive. The most. Yes, he is the most supported dad and grandpa that I've ever seen. And on a side note, Ian still plays fantasy baseball every day, and he invented it. When we were little, we would do the box scores and pick teams, and he assigned points. And I've never known anyone to love baseball more than him. He loves his family, he loves his wife, but he also loves his players. He believes in them more than anyone. I've ever seen. I had a chance to be his head coach in football. He was my assistant for like 20 years. And he always thought all my players were way better than I thought they were. And he always had a great calming, positive influence on him. Although he would always piss me off in the middle of the game and come and tell me to punt, because I didn't like to punt if we crossed the 50 when we were punting. And then I would get a lecture about field position on the way home. He is a great storyteller. Every time we are together, he's always telling me stories about past players, the games. It's always positive. He's always bragging about them. He keeps track of their lives. He knows what number they were in high school. He knows them. Details of each game, each at-bat, each pitch count, often referring to them by a nickname or complimenting phrases like, he would tell me that kid was tougher than a pig's nose. Or something like Danny Mac, quick as a cat. He always had something positive, that positive nickname for everybody. He would tell me that kid was something else. He showed that love in many subtle ways, like his famous side hug with a big grin. He always had a great sense of humor to lighten the mood. And would give you a piece of candy and a treat if you got a hit. He'd always give you words of encouragement, making sure you knew book. He believed in you. Eric Legos already shared it, but he had the dangerous phrases ever. He would always yell at us. Hana Hana, we learned that. He told me growing up, it meant get your ass in the band. But then when I got to high school, I figured out that just means hustle. He would say, "Dadgummit." He would tell me that guy could put a wet noodle up a wildcat's ass. It was colder than a well digger's ass. When it was hotter than Toby's. You know what? Whenever I got a hit, he would tell me that was a CNI Dog single. Or if it was a flare over first base, he would call that a Fred. I remember if there was someone he didn't like, he would tell me he couldn't punch himself out of a wet paper sack. I liked that one. And if I ever dared wear my hat backwards at practice, he asked me if I was riding a motorcycle home. And I was quickly turned around. But the best was when we were getting ready to play Weber. It's the only time my dad's emotions would change a little bit. And he wouldn't even say their name. It was always, we're going to play the son of a bitch and bastards on the head. Sorry, Coach Borwald, I know you played there. But as a leader, my dad was one of the best leaders I've ever seen. Like his favorite song, he is humble and kind. He was always fair but firm. As me and Brian found out, we were not as good at players as we thought coming up, but he always found a spot where we could show our skills and contribute to the team and have a great experience. I loved playing for my dad. He would challenge you by believing you. He was always positive, but he would tell you the truth. He had a way of always being optimistic, but realistic. He was extremely calm, but inside fiercely competitive. He would be funny and serious when needed. He always led by example of hard work and had unconditional love. For his players. He gave praise to players when we won. we lost. And somehow, you always seem to know what you needed to hear and how to motivate you. As my brother said, he treated us the exact opposite. I told Brad the other day, I wish I would have known I could have got away with all that stuff. I would have had a lot more fun in high school. But to close, thank you, Roy. Definitely this family will always strive, to live golden and bleed black. Go Royals, go. Thank you, Dad. You coaching me was the funnest experience of my life, and I still forgive you for not throwing me the ball more my senior year.
Oh, some great tributes. Well done. Years ago, I was privileged to MC or do some announcing at a fundraiser for Eric. And Eric's more concerned about others than himself. And he had the acronym of family, forget about me, I love you. Because he wanted the concern to be with others. And I don't know if you recall, since I had the microphone, that I changed that acronym. And hopefully they remembered, but if not, then here's a reminder. Family now stands for forever are mine. I love you. What a great family. We now have the privilege of hearing from the guest of honor, ladies and gentlemen, Fred Thompson.
Can you have let's see, how do I put this? Can you have a funeral and still be alive? Okay, well, thank you to these wonderful speakers who have been incredibly kind to me. Dr. Mansfield, Fred Fernandez, Jeff Jorgensen, Eric Gallegos, Brian Thompson, Eric Thompson. I wish to extend to all of you a message of considerable gratitude for what has happened with the naming of the field. A beautiful plaque on the dugout donated by my longtime friend. It has been amazing for Helen and I and our family. Thank you all for being here. We love you and appreciate you. You are our closest friends and family. We would not be here without you. What a treat it is for all of you here to be here today. Thank you. I miss my good friend Ted Smith. I spent some time the last few years of his life playing golf with him. And I found him to be the funniest man I ever knew, who didn't try to be and didn't want to be. And I think Lyndon Johnson might be here. We'd go golfing and we'd laugh so hard that we couldn't even play golf. And I missed him. He was an outstanding athletic director. The baseball and football fields were always marked beautifully and precisely, similar to our current athletic director, Mike Pusey. how he takes care of the fields. Mike has spent 5 years or more working to have this come to fruition. I'm so grateful to my assistant principal, Jake Schultz, as well as loyal Royals, Alan and Jeannie Hall, Jan Burrell, joined in the effort along with many others. The wonderful meal we had tonight has been catered by Roy High alum, Molly Buse Stratford, who in addition to being an amazing caterer, is one of the best back girls ever. Molly was our back girl Bry's senior year. Thank you, Molly. I'm grateful to Weber School District Gina Butters for her support and friendship, and I hugged her earlier tonight. The wonder of this is that I started coaching baseball in 1974 with Steve Boyson at the helm. Then I took over in 1975 until 1994. Then you blink and now it's been 50 years. Unbelievable, really. I want to say something about Steve. He asked me to help him coach with him in 1974, my first year at Roy High. We had a very good team. We won the region title. The next year, Steve went into administration and became the voice of baseball and football for 30 years. He is unable to be with us. I need you to know. I need you to know about that. He was a wonderful fellow. All right, moving along. The main reason I am standing here today is because of Helen Bishop Thompson. She is the reason. She is an amazing wife and mother. We are blessed to have 4 wonderful children, Eric, Jenny, and Bryant, and Kalani, who each had an important role in not only making this evening special, but in being so supportive throughout this incredible journey. If you know Helen, you know she is one of a kind. She's loving, supportive, funny, and encouraging, and she is even a little bit fiery. And sometimes she doesn't do what I want her to do. If we had lost an important game back in the day, when I would come home and open the door, I would hear, I want overs. And she'd say it again, I want overs. With a very passionate and warm look on her face, she was sure if we could play that opponent again, we would win the game. I always felt her support. We absolutely love Roy High School. I was blessed with wonderful assistant coaches who are here. If they'll stand. Brett Molding, where are you, Brett? Thank you. Lane Monkers. Scott Jorgensen. And Larry, will you get up, please? Larry Jorgensen runs summer teams for 15 years for me. And Gary Nelson, who has a wonderful coach for our American Legion teams for several years. I was also blessed with a supportive principal. Now, let me take you down a little trip of memory lane. As a young man, I fell in love with baseball. I had a brother-in-law, his name was Gary Hales. We played 2 men in the backyard almost every day. After he came home from work, he took a baseball bat and cut off 4 inches of it so I could swing it. And we threw tennis balls to each other for hours. I was probably 12 at the time. Gary Hales taught me how to hit and was an amazing friend and mentor. I miss my friend Gary. Having such a great experience playing baseball made me want to coach baseball. My high school coach is here, Gordon Dutch Belknap. Gordon, coach, are you still here? He taught me to love the game at Weaver High School. I played at Weaver College for Dick Williams. Fundamentals were most important to him. Also played for Blaine Sylvester as a senior, and he let me help him coach as a graduate assistant. He taught me how to treat young men with love and respect. I love my coaches. They were great mentors to me. In the 20 years I coached at Roy, it was really a golden era. I've talked to several of you tonight who talked about this. We had 6 high schools and they were all good. Very good in every sport. Track, wrestling, football, basketball, and baseball. All 6 schools. Very good. I coached baseball against 5 schools and coaches who were all outstanding, and some of my best friends, by the way, and I hope they're here. Steve Gardner at Bonneville, Dave Hoke at Bonneville, Clearfield, and Northridge, Kenny Hicks and Ray Mibus at Clearfield, Kent Dreyer and Val Cullimore at Davis, whose son Casey is my grandson Sam's baseball coach at Box Elder. Sam happens to love his coach. Brad Hawkins, Dee Burton, and Robert Furneaux at Layton, and Glenn Prisk at Weaver. All were so good that if you were fortunate enough to win or qualify for the state tournament, you had a real chance to be successful against the big schools in Salt Lake and Provo, because our own region play prepared us for that. All right, this is the nuts and bolts for you players. For all 20 years, we were blessed with very good players. They were some of the best athletes Roy High has ever seen. They were gritty, tough, athletic, and fun. And they were fierce competitors who loved the game and loved each other. They played the game right. We had strong kids who could hit the ball hard and make great contact. They could steal the bases and even steal home, Doctor. We always had very good pitchers who could throw strikes or knock you down if they needed to.
Yeah.
We had outstanding left-handers who could strike you out and pick you off when you managed to get on. Right-handers who went the distance of 7 innings and finished strong. Not many relievers in those days. I could name several catchers who were the best in the league, often and caught for more than 1 year. Like other teams, we had infielders who could pick it, outfielders who could go get it if you hit it in a rather spacious center to right field, outfield area. Some of you may remember that area. They could keep you from inside the park home run with multiple relays because they were practically an upper. I had a rival coach who would scream out, "Get a damn fence." We never did it for 20 years. The Roy High baseball field had some features we used to do to our advantage. Wide open center field and right field where our speedy outfielders had a lot of practice running long distances to get deep balls and getting them back in quickly with a well-practiced relay system. A short porch in left field for our strong pull hitters. Long grass in the infield to accommodate our skilled bunters and fast runners. And pitchers, you will remember, a tall mound to give our gifted pitchers a good look at home plate. Probably illegal, by the way. And a little different angle for the batter. We never had a cutout infield and we were rarely rained out. We filled my pickup truck with sawdust and sand to dry out the field. We always wanted to play and we wanted to have our home field available. We also had wonderful parents and fans who would come out in large numbers to support us, often lining the first base line with lawn chairs and blankets. Do you remember that? What a treat it was to play games in front of an amazing Roy community. I have wonderful memories of Roy High School. Before I end tonight, I must say, my 4 children with help from their mates, I am sure, have fought and wished and hoped and perhaps prayed that this would happen. And without my knowledge, I thank you. I love you beyond measure for doing this. The best thing I did in coaching was coach Eric and Bryant. Now, we're almost done. The first thing I did after Mike Pusey and Jake Schultz informed me of this happening was to go to Roy High School and look through all the yearbooks from 75 to 94. I wanted to see and remember every one of you who played for us for 20 years. Now that was a trip down memory lane that I won't forget, and tonight is even better. Another important person in this journey is our beloved bus driver, the late Toke Yoshimura. Toke drove us to all of our games for 20 years. He was wonderful and kind. He had a smile that made you know he cared about you. When Toke smiled, you smiled. He gave the players treats and words of encouragement. He kept us safe. Probably his most difficult job was to try to keep Brian and Eric from being in trouble, either on the bus or out in the weeds somewhere. So Toke drove the bus. The players played very well. I was very fortunate to be along for the ride. I thank the living God for all of you.
Well done, well done. All right, fans, time to head out to the field. Jake Schultz is going to lead us out that exit there, and if there's anything else I can say, it's Hana Hana.
Ready? Ladies and gentlemen, we are here today to name the high school, Roy High basketball. All right, I'm going to start over. Error on the announcement. We are here today to name the Roy High baseball field after Coach Fred Thompson. Coach Thompson was our head baseball coach from 1975 to 1994 and head football coach from 84 to 94. In coaching baseball, football, and basketball at Roy High School for 20 years, Coach Thompson was on coaching staffs that won a total of 16 region championships, finished 4 times as state runner-up, 2 in baseball, 1 in football, 1 in basketball, and won a state championship in football. As a football coach, Fred was associated with 7 region championships. He was the defensive coordinator for Ernie Jacklin for 10 years, where the Roy High football teams played for the state championship in 1980 and won the state championship in 1981. Fred was an assistant basketball coach for Ted Smith, where the Roy High basketball teams won 3 region championships and played for the state championship in 1980. In baseball, Fred was an assistant coach to Steve Boyson, where they won a region championship. As the head baseball coach, Fred won 5 region championships and ranks 12th in all-time wins in the state of Utah as a head baseball coach with 262 wins. In 2003, Fred was inducted into the Utah High School Sports Hall of Fame as a distinguished high school coach for his excellence as a baseball coach. Even though the teams he coached enjoyed tremendous success on the field, Coach Thompson always prioritized connecting with his players and motivating them to make decisions that would help them succeed not only in their sport, but in life. As a result, his players loved him and cherished their time with him. Joining Coach Thompson today are his wife, Helen, who is his strongest supporter, best friend, and greatest inspiration, along with their 4 children, Eric, Jenny, Bri, and Kalani. Fred and Helen also have 16 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren. Coach Thompson, please step forward. He's on the mound. We got this plaque on the east side of the dugout, official naming of the Roy High baseball field. So, on this 18th day of April, 2025, by the authority of Roy High School and Weber School District, we hereby name this baseball field Fred Thompson Field. May those who play on this field be inspired to be kind to each other, work hard, be good teammates, and respect the game, and may they make positive memories to last a lifetime and beyond. And now, Coach Thompson will now throw out the ceremonial first pitch on Fred Thompson Field to his grandson, Sam Thompson, who plays catcher for Box Elder High School.